Hello, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Mary, and today's video is going to be the setup and flip through of my 2022 reading journal, as well as my January spreads. So if you would like to see how I set up my reading journal this year, then just keep watching. Okay, so I'm just starting by showing you my journal. I did get this as a customizable bullet journal off of Etsy. I will link the seller that I got it from down below, but it just says reading journal on the front and 2022 on the spine. And now I'm starting off by just writing my name in the first page so that people know whose it is. And then for my 2022 cover page, I'm just making sure that marker didn't bleed through. I'm going around with black markers. I will link all the supplies I use in the description box down below. There's not very many things that I honestly used for these spreads. I tried to make them very simple because I'm not a super artistic person, but I'm just doing block numbers for that. And then I'm doing a border in gold gel pen and using a silver gel pen through the numbers. I did want this to be sort of a like New Year's Eve black, gold, and silver theme, I guess, if you will, for my 2022 beginning pages. And then I got this idea from Plant-Based Bride, but I wanted gold to be like the tie-in for all of my spreads for this year. So you'll see that when I move on to my January spreads, I use gold in those as well, but that was sort of my plan. And then now I'm doing a technique that I learned, I believe, on Riley Autumn's channel. I will link her down below, but I'm just making little confetti looking pieces out of washi tape. So I have a few thinner circles of washi tape that I used, and they're in like black and golds. And so I am just sprinkling those randomly around the page to try to give it more of a like Happy New Year confetti type of look. So that's what I'm doing right now. And now I'm going in with my gold watercolors. I got these off of Amazon. I will link them down below like everything else. And I'm trying to do a little bit of shading on the numbers. Again, this idea came from Plant-Based Bride, so I will link her channel down below. But that's what I'm doing there. And now I'm working on my quote page for the year. And so this is a quote from The Midnight Library by Matt Haig, which is one of my favorite books of 2021, spoiler alert. But this quote says, aim to be you. Aim to look and act and think like you. Aim to be the truest version of you. Embrace that you-ness. Endorse it. Love it. Work hard at it. And so that is what I have going on here. I'm just doing some of the words in gold gel pen to make them sort of pop out. I thought that looked kind of cool. And I wasn't really sure what else to do. I do go back and add some decorations to this page, but that's going to be in a minute. I didn't do it right away. And now I'm filling out my year at a glance spread. So I don't know how helpful this is going to be, but I liked the idea of having all of the mini calendars on one page. I also do a future log, which I think is going to be more useful, but this is just helpful because I can see just at a glance what day of the week, days of the year fall on. And then over here on the next page is my future log. So again, I'm just using some gold gel pen and underlining with my silver gel pen, and this is where I go back and add the confetti to that quote page. But that's all I'm really doing here, is just adding more of the confetti like I did on my first page of this spread. But the reason that I use a future log is because I do my journal month by month, so I don't set up multiple months at a time. So anytime I have an event or just something I need to make note of that's happening later in the year, I can write it in my future log. So I just have all 12 months of the year written out here, and then I've divided them into columns using a gray marker, which is just a very simple way to do that. This is my goal spread. So this journal is just for my reading and YouTube stuff. Essentially, I might use it for some other things, but I'm not a super journal-y person typically. So this is just going to be goals involving my reading. So things like the number of books that I want to read, series I want to finish, and just different things like that I want to be mindful of in 2022. And then on the next page opposite it, I'm doing some ways to sort of track my progress on these goals. So I have 0 to 100% for my reading goal of the year. And then I've divided that out. And then right now, I am making my year in pixels, which I've gotten from a couple of different people. So I'll try to link some people who I was inspired by down below, but I'm essentially writing down 1 through 31 on the left-hand column, and then the first letter of each month of the year are along the bottom. And then I'm making a key so that each day I will fill out a square based on how many pages I read that day. So anything from 0 to over 200. And then I'm color coding it just using some markers. I didn't have a rhyme or reason for the color coding. I just wanted to be able to look back at the end of the year and see when I was reading and how much. This is a spread that's really common that a lot of people do in their reading journals, but this is just where I'm tracking the books that I've read. I decided to do 2 pages, and then you can see there in pencil I've already filled out about 100 books because I would like to read about 100 books. I don't know if I'll read more, but I have 3 extra shelf pages in case I do. But essentially what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to write the name of the book that I read along the spine. And I haven't decided if I'm going to color code based on star rating, which is what some people do, or based on the month that I read the book in, which is another thing that some people do. So I'm still toying with options for that. But obviously, when I do my final flip through for this journal, you'll see what I ended up deciding on that front. But yeah, I'm just coloring in my shelves. And this shelf I did gray to go with the sort of color scheme. But then the shelf on the opposite page, I wind up filling out with a brown marker, which I kind of wish I did both in the brown marker because I like the way that looks better. Also, I didn't mark out where my camera was filming, so I did end up cutting off the bottom of some of these spreads. You can see them better in my flip through, but I will be explaining what's down there because I pulled my notebook closer to myself, not realizing that it was no longer going to be on camera. So that was my bad. But yeah, that's all I'm doing for this spread. Okay, the next spread that I'm working on is my series catch-up spread. So I'm just writing series in silver pen, outlining it in gold, and then I will write the titles of each series that I read. I have a bunch written out now. I've since gone back and filled this out with the series that I'm in the middle of, and then I'm planning on putting in the date that I started that series and then the date that I complete that series. I've seen a bunch of people do this in different ways. This is the first time I've tracked it this way, but I am just highlighting with gray every other line to sort of divide the page. This spread is another one that I got from Riley Autumn. She did this in the same bullet journal spread that she did the confetti, and I thought it looked really cool. So I'm just making a banner out of washi tape and writing letters on the banner to spell hauled, and it's gonna look like a little banner. It doesn't look super great and you can't really see what it is, so this was kind of a fail, but I just wanted to try it. But this is where I'm gonna write down all of the books that I get new in 2022, and I'm leaving the second page because if I buy more books I can put more over there, but again I'm just highlighting using like this light peach tan shade every other line, and I'll write the date that I got the book and maybe some other stuff. And now we're starting my January spreads. So for January I decided to do a Crescent City theme, sort of. I had a quote from Crescent City that or from House of Earth and Blood, I guess, that I was really excited to use, and then I just decided to do moons and stars in gold and red, like the cover of House of Earth and Blood. So that's what I've done, and the quote says, "To live, to love, knowing that it might all vanish tomorrow, it makes everything that much more precious." And that is from House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas. On the other page, in red marker, I'm just writing January, and then I am drawing a crescent moon around that quote, and I have the phases of the moon drawn out on the other side, and I end up going over those in gold gel pen. But right now I'm coloring in my crescent moon with gold watercolor paint, which is that same gold paint that I used to accent my 2022 page. So I really like the way this looks. I think it's just so pretty and so shiny, and I'm really glad that I decided to buy this. I wasn't going to initially, and I'm just glad that I bit the bullet and did it because it looks really cool. So I'm very pleased about that. And as you can see, I'm not a very good artist, but I just wanted to do spreads that were simple and easy, and that would be quick to get through. I debated filling in these moons with red, and I'm glad I ultimately decided not to, but I'm trying to make sure everything dries, and I wind up putting a paper towel between the spreads so that I don't get smudges, which is what happened on the hauled page. But now I'm just drawing my month at a glance calendar. Very simple. I'm just doing red lines across, and then I'm using like a orange, I guess is what color it is. I thought it was going to be more of a yellow, but it's more of an orange. It's the closest I have to like a gold marker. And I'm doing circles, and then I'm going over those with a white gel pen to write in the days of the month. I will eventually go in and do the days of the week along the top, and also write January, and I just do that in black pen. And then on the side here, I am going to leave a spot to write down my YouTube upload schedule. So I do upload every Thursday and Sunday, so I just write down the dates for those. And as I decide what videos will go on what dates, I will put that in as well. I don't know what I'm going to do with the extra space along the right-hand side of this spread, but I will figure something out eventually. I might do like to-dos and stuff like that, but that's that. Then moving on, over here are my TBR and video planning spreads. I usually use Google Docs to plan my TBR and my video ideas, but I thought I would write them down since this is supposed to be a YouTube and book reading journal. So I did just decorate this with stars and moons again, and border it with like an arch in a red marker. And then on the TBR side, I go along and highlight every other line with that same orange marker. But I don't do that on the video idea side because I don't think things are going to fit in one line, if that makes sense. So that's those spreads. Very simple. And I just wanted to keep the gold and the moons and stars motif throughout. These are my reading stats spread. I started off thinking I was going to do boxes, but I wind up erasing all of the boxes at the end, just because I like the look of all the blank space. So I'm going to be tracking the format I read, the rating I give books, the year the books were published, the status, whether they were owned new or from the library, the genres I read, the demographics. And then I also have author stats on the other side. So race, gender, and country of origin for authors. I do end up going back and decorating this again with stars and moons and little gold dots, but not right here. So these are the start of my weekly spreads. I do Monday through the weekend. I don't need Saturday and Sunday to be separate because I just don't need that. And then the categories on the side are school, YouTube, and etc. So this is where I'm going to map out my to-do list for things that are due for school or things that I need to do for school. This is how I'm going to organize my video production for YouTube, and then etc. will just be life stuff. So if I have an event or a date or something like that with my boyfriend, not like a date, but whatever, anything that I need to keep track of that's not in either school or YouTube will go over there. This is where I'm going back and decorating that reading stats page. I liked the idea of keeping the gold stars and moons motif, and then I go and complete the rest of my weekly spreads, but that's what I'm doing here, just finishing up my weekly spreads. Same song and dance as before. I really liked this theme. It was very easy to do, obviously, and it was mostly based in color scheme, which I think just made it a lot easier. And I liked the moons and stars. Again, obviously, I'm not a very good artist, but it was super easy to do. Not super original, but I just thought it was a really fun and simple spread idea. So that's that on that. And now I'm going back and decorating all my pages to make sure I get some doodles on there so they look really cute and fun. And now let's do the flip through. So that's it. Like I said, pretty simple, pretty basic setups that are really easy to imitate because I'm not super artistic. So this is how I'm going about my reading journaling of 2022. Let me know in the comments down below if you like this style of video. Also let me know if you do a reading journal like this or a bullet journal. I know it's like a pretty popular way to organize things, but if you have any tips or tricks or particular spreads that you find particularly helpful, I would love to hear about them. But that's it. If you liked this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you would like to, you can go ahead and subscribe to my channel because I do post 2 videos every single week. And I will see you in my next one. Bye!